to talk to you a little bit about glow-in-the-dark and UV reactive tattoo inks. We've noticed over the years that interest in these kinds of inks and these kinds of tattoos is somewhat cyclical. It kind of goes in waves. You get a little period of time where everybody's curious about them and then it dies away, and then it becomes super interesting again and then it dies away. So I'd like to explain to you a little bit about the potential risks and concerns with these kinds of tattoo inks. So I'm going to start with glow-in-the-dark because that's the one that's actually legitimately dangerous. So the main thing you have to think about with glow-in-the-dark, bioluminescence, is that there's functionally only two real ways to create it synthetically. One of them is petrochemical and the other is radioactive. Neither of these are acceptable for subcutaneous use. You do not want to put these fucking things in your skin. They're dangerous, they have never been proven, they have never been studied, there's no clinical information on it whatsoever. Any company that tries to claim that they've been approved by the FDA for these sorts of materials in their pigments is fucking lying to you. It's not true. But the other thing to think about, and this is actually going to apply to both UV and glow-in-the-dark, is that the effect doesn't last anyways. So you're potentially putting something very dangerous into your skin for a brief gimmick that goes away after a few months, so why waste your fucking time? That's glow-in-the-dark. Whatever you do, do not get glow-in-the-dark tattooing. It is not a good idea. Next up though would be UV, blacklight tattoo inks. Now that's not as inherently dangerous, because UV isn't automatically, dangerous, or in this particular instance, some inks are UV reactive without even being marketed as being UV reactive. It's almost like sometimes you can wear a white t-shirt to a nightclub and the black lights don't do anything to it, and sometimes you wear a different white t-shirt and it just glows like the sun. Some materials, some things just happen to be UV reactive. Why that specifically is, I don't actually know. But what I can tell you is that sometimes tattoo inks just happen to, luminesce under a black light. So that doesn't necessarily mean that they're dangerous. But there still hasn't been any conclusive studies on UV reactive inks. So whether they may potentially be dangerous or whether they may be potentially safe is still very much a matter of debate. But having said that, just like with glow-in-the-dark, they still don't last in the skin. The effect goes away over time. So it's an interesting gimmick, sure, and it looks cool as shit when it's fresh, but why would you want to deliberately set your tattoo up to fail over years? Why would you not want your tattoo to look as awesome as possible in any circumstances for as long as possible, instead of just a gimmick that's going to go away after a little bit? The biggest issue, after all is said and done, is that there are no professional ink lines that manufacture these sorts of inks. Only really poor quality companies make these sorts of things. So you're going to have a very difficult time finding a professional who's really worth the term professional that would ever bother using this sort of ink, because it's frankly all crap. Any of the actual good lines, so Fusion or Intense or Eternal or Waverly or Starbright, none of those ink lines have glow-in-the-dark or blacklight reactive inks. So no professional would use them. So once again, you have to ask yourself, if you're going to go get a tattoo with this gimmick, are you really getting the best quality? So after all is said and done, do whatever you want to do, but just go into it knowing that you're setting yourself up potentially for something dangerous, for something that's not going to last in your skin anyways, for a gimmick that's only going to be cool for a little while with low quality ink. Why not instead put all that effort into something that's going to look awesome all the time? Choice is yours, I suppose.